My name is Philip Livingston. I was born in Northern Ireland in County Armagh in a little town called Lurgan. I was brought up in a good family. My mother and father, they're still alive. They're getting on now in the 90s. But I have two sisters and one brother. So I had, and when I was about 15, I had a brother who had died and had committed suicide, through he had mental problems when I was 15, and he was 20. He was my older brother. So it was a bit of a tragedy at that time in my life. But growing up as a childhood, I had a happy childhood and good family, good mother, good parents. And I went to primary school. I lived in a big council estate in Lurgan, and I grew up and I was in a primary school just beside me. So it was handy enough. Then a secondary school. Then I went into tech, and I left school when I was about 15, 16. I didn't like school that much at that age, so I just left. I went on to the training centre and started to do a bit of manual work and worked in a building shop and a hardware shop. And then I ended up in the Middle-Ulster granite, working with headstones and kitchen granite tops. That was my job just before I come to Galway in 2014. I worked there for about 15 years. The town I grew up in was quite divided. It was half and half, and the Protestants lived on one side and the Catholics lived on the other side. And then there has been a lot of, the town was blew up at one time with bombs, and you just hear a lot of shootings and bombings when I was growing up in the estate, even with the army coming in and riots, and it was just an everyday occurrence. You couldn't have went into a shop even without getting searched in the 70s and 80s, and no matter where you went to, and even in the towns, you couldn't park your car and leave it. You had to be someone in the car to be in there so it was quite difficult at times, and there was barricades everywhere. At night time the towns were closed off, so you couldn't go into the town, so there was a lot of restrictions when I grew up in the towns. But for us, we never thought anything of it because it was normality to us, That's what we grew up in, the troubles. And every day you just heard of someone getting killed or getting shot or blew up or something, and it was just one of them things that we grew up, just got used to.
Passions and hobbies?
Yeah, well, also I like walking. I love walking and I love the outdoors and travelling too. There was one time years ago in the early 90s I went to Israel, worked on a kibbutz for about 2 or 3 years. So I love travelling and seeing new things and history. I like history and seeing the old buildings and old culture. So even in Ireland, even down the south here in Galway, there's a lot of history and old buildings and castles and stuff. So I like to walk around them and see them, and also like to watch a good film sometimes as well. That is interesting,
Yeah.
Of course, reading the Bible.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that as well. Can you remember your fondest memory? It can be from anywhere in your life.
Yeah. Fondest memory?
Yeah,
I remember growing up, like we used to spend our holidays with the family up on the north coast in Portrush, in a family in a big guest house hotel place, and it was lovely, and we had a great time there growing up because we went there nearly every year beside the sea and into amusements and Barry's big amusement arcade there, and it was just one of them nice family time spent together because it was six of us all together in the family, growing up. So it was nice to be there, and they just stuck out in my mind. Sometimes you see the old photos on the beaches and all, and Giant's Causeway too. I've spent many times there. It was nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. And similarly, it's a kind of similar question, but it is different.
Yeah.
Can you remember the last time that you were truly happy?
Truly happy. Well, I suppose the time was truly happy. It was for many years, even leading up to my conversion. My life was controlled by alcohol at that time, but my genuine peace and contentment and happiness came when I met Jesus, when I turned my life over to Him. And it was in 1999 and I knew my life was going out of control with the alcohol, and many things in my life I was suffering depression, and so by putting my trust and faith in Jesus, He gave me the peace and contentment in my life, and then from that step forward, I used to just have this kind of peace in my life, and happiness and joy that come into my life. So that was the most happiest time too, when the old habits that I used to do, they kind of started to go away, and I didn't drink anymore and didn't smoke anymore, and so that was good happiness for me, And that's why I'm here today on the streets of Galway.
Do you have any regrets in life?
Regrets? Well, I suppose it's hard to know. I suppose sometimes regrets. Maybe there's a lot of things you do make mistakes in life, even before become a Christian. You know, there's regrets that, you know, I was married at 21, 22, and then I was married for 4 years, and I have a daughter, a grown-up daughter now. But I suppose some of the regrets was, even when I went to Israel, was to spend more time with my daughter as a child, you know, when I was growing up, because I was drinking at that time, and, you know, I'd always access to her, you know, even after the divorce of my marriage. And I had no problems with the ex-wife, but it's just maybe I could have spent more time with her at that time. My drink had taken control at that time, and I put it first instead of my daughter, you know. Also maybe a regret I would have had. But I still do have contact with her.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self, smaller, younger Philip, one piece of advice, what would that be?
Is to, well, I suppose, be careful of the choices you make in life. Definitely, and your friends, of who you become company with. I believe your company can influence you and can give you bad choices in life. And even by taking even a first drink, when I took it at 15, or smoke, it can lead you down a spiral of unhappiness, and it's contaminant, and you're always wanting more. But I said, I should have maybe accepted Jesus into my life younger, because I would have escaped all the difficulties I've had in life in the past, and my alcoholism and stuff. So I just believe that is coming to Jesus is the most important thing in your life, and that's the thing that I wish I would have done sooner.